the microphone. Take these off because I could hear my own voice in the audio. Maybe I need to disable one of the audios. Yeah, like this. So this is the subscribe and like the stream. What we're doing today is adding text UI and sprites. It's been a little while since I worked on this and updated it. I actually want to stream Source SDK. Once the battery runs out, maybe that'll be the next stream. Let's see. So we have stuff like Barracks. I don't even have all the sprites ready. I threw away some of the sprites. I've been doing a little bit of cleaning, but there's a lot of problems. My camera's messed up. Well, my camera's fine, but I never fixed my cursor, my virtual cursor. All right, so what we're working on here, it's actually hard to deal with this. Oh wait, we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we have 6 UI buttons. I thought we had 4 for some reason. Let's look at the code. Okay, so the code is structured around a non-defined 3D format, an intersection cube. This is the raycast cube. We have some camera. We have a bunch of cameras, but we just use one that's actually kind of working. The cursor that updates by 2D. Some game HUD buttons. For some reason it shows 6 when there's 4. We have to figure out why. Some main menu buttons. So this is a very new structure of the game, and I've tried to get it to be multiplayer, and I don't have the multiplayer server running today. I could get it up and running. It's just the power button away. I guess I could switch the power supply because the motherboard is set to auto boot and it's Linux, so it'll just keep coming back alive indefinitely. We have 6 textures here. We use one of the textures for text and sprites, so we could eliminate 5 at some point. We could deprecate that at some point. It's a very, I want to say, optimized engine. This is the power of this. The goal is to have Glenn Filmler's methodology with multiplayer work with this and make a multiplayer client server, and then have peer-to-peer server from the general source code, and then have a server of server stereo streaming replication. But today we'll just focus on really little C++ stuff, like getting stuff inside the VDO, like a capsule, maybe terrain. Here's my terrain demo. This is pure math. There's no libraries. Then I have some demos with libraries, but I've started converting some of their objects, like geometry primitives. Like in this one, the capsule primitive, and the cylinder primitive, and the cube primitive I have. So we could build a barracks, we could start a factory that doesn't work in this demo. I think it works in demo 7, but then something else doesn't work, like whenever you generate these with AI, and then I modify them slightly sometimes, like that's the factory. It's very basic, like you have, I like how the health bars are like billboards. I think I need to implement billboards, because that right away, having that sphere, having this hologramic, I might have to turn on alpha blending in order to get this hologramic effect, but I could still do it with this card. So you can see I pack up the vehicle and I can drive it. It doesn't run over people anymore, and you can see this circle where I command. So these are all these little details that's like hard to do in C++ that it was really easy to generate with AI. And there's little soldiers firing at me, and in the other demo I could run them over and do reverse run over. Like I could reverse into them. They killed my MCV, but I could make some tanks. And the tanks obviously have some issues of their own. I don't remember if I could command them. I think I can. There's no... Yeah, I need to make rectangle select work. That's another tutorial of... Let's just launch a nuke. Who cares? We killed our own tank. That's good. Let's kill our own tanks. Let's kill these guys. Like, all you really need in this game is one nuke. And you could win just by launching them. Does the nuke kill itself? Will the nuke nuke itself? No, it doesn't die from itself nuking itself. It's a pretty good nuke bunker then. It's a silo. Okay, good. I like how the explosion is just a big old spear thing. It's gonna be fun to make, because all you need is a cylinder and a exploding spear. So this is kind of how I started making this RTS game. Grid. Okay. This is one of the tech demos. I have another one in C++. And then there's another one with trucks. I don't know, all the tech demos are kind of cool, but really this should be about code grinding. These are the various prototypes, and they're for very kind of specific things. Platformer, conveyor belt games, individual little things. There's also like even a skating game. I wanted to say something else. There's also even a text renderer and there's just a bunch of stuff. Now, like recording technology would be good for RTS, being able to record, stream that back with the server. That's what I was thinking today, and I was like, it's like one of the many thoughts of all these thoughts. Okay. We need MCV build. Why is MCV build has a lot of the RTS builds. I think truck miners or tree mining, one of these. Because the overhead code for WebGL is just like little, and it runs on mobile, so you can prototype it on your phone while you're waiting to go do something. So it's kind of nice. Alright, this demo doesn't work. It needs to be redone. Some of these, I saved the file that made the prompts for these. Might be tree mining. Some of these, the shader will break because it keeps making like the same mistakes over and over again. Like this one right here. Like the terrain looks cool, but with no shading, it's very like, what is that? Like, where did we build that? And like, oh yeah, it messed up on the thing. whenever it doesn't use 3.js, it tends to mess up on the map. This is a not messed up one where you have trucks. They go harvest the trees and bring them back. Which is like your regular harvester mechanic. Then there's a warehouse that's processing the wood. It has a little circle. So it's very similar to the way it did the other one. It has these little circles. I think they travel up and down the terrain too, yeah. I don't know if they travel through the water. I believe they do. They could be amphibious and land. Most harvesters are. Okay, let's just compile this again. I rebuilt this yesterday so I could like mess this up. Okay, so let's add another sprite. I was on the verge of adding more sprites, making the text color, because I wanted to have attributes. We're gonna have supply bunker garage. Maybe that should just be a warehouse. It'll just be like our standard building. Then a coal plant, which is our power plant, the barracks, and then a factory. And then let's rename this, I guess. So it's similar to the Kulo game. There's like a text field class. I think this one has a little bit more attributes, so it'll be easier to make a color text. Oh, this is the main menu button. And I gotta do that. So there's like all these graphical programming challenges, but they usually get overcome with time and trial and error. Okay, supply bunker garage. We'll get either call this warehouse. I wanted to call it also barn. What, warehouse, garage. What's another name for it? Shed. You could also make a shed into like a garage and then later convert the garage into, let's call it like a shed. So we want to be as simplistic as possible. Draw here is shed, garage, warehouse, and that's like the upgrade mutation, I guess, that'll be there later. And how do we make this text color? Need to add a color field. Type, there's a position, there's a UV. The only thing we got is type. We'll make another class and then just figure it out. Basically, I'm going to probably just use the type and just recolor it that way. Since the rendering is so simple. You may have to rip out some of the complex part of the shader, like the shader quality demo. It's not good. Alright, game HUD UI button 1. Okay, button 2 is going to need the sprite quad thing. The problem is I need to set the UVs differently. This is how I'm doing it. I make a field class, I call it something, change the text. The Z value will have to be different. I mean the Y. It'll be 35, I believe. Let's declare it. It's this sprite object I made up, quad sprite image. But this really unique, new, spanking new brand RTS engine name. And just everything is like prototypes. And it should spawn now an image on top of the second button. I kind of remember this .35 from yesterday. I stayed up as late as I could, and then I was like, I need to stop here. And then later just do all of this really quick. It's just like doing really basic coding. Put this image here, put this text here, change the color. Nothing fancy like, let's do the netcode and import GLTF or something. But I was also working on the Linux version. I started to compile glue and glfw on Ubuntu so I could test it out in Ubuntu. Okay, so we have the second tile. I mean the second quad or the image. It draws over, it's a little too big on both of them. So let's change width and height to not 0.20, let's do 15 for now. Our window's a little small too, but it's good because when you test the multiplayer, you want to be able to fit 4 of these on one screen. I should just get a larger screen, that'll help too. It's like, how am I gonna make this a 1,000-player game without like 50 monitors? Because one of the sub goals is like certainly get this to run on Raspberry Pi, and the other thing I need to make this appear is this loading text. Just like tell it go away. All right, so we have that little icons there. They're not centered right. The @ sign is not in the right place. Maybe make them smaller. I don't know where these two are coming from. I need to figure that out too. Oh, okay. So those backgrounds are actually being drawn in main. We can see the layering with the mouse over. Alright. Ooh, this camera's fun. I need to relearn all my cameras again. But the reason there's so many cameras, for another reason, is for the graphical fidelity to be very nice, and very dynamic as possible. So you have this kind of hovering the mouse. Then you have, where's the static one? This is what I call the static one, or the classic RTS one, or you could enable later side scroll and just rotate it 45 and kind of have this top down. Here's the settings menu, or the main menu, or some sort of other menu. Procedural brick generation and shader quad, static looking thing. So the shader doesn't have alpha blending. I think it maybe does. It has depth. Well, like my 2D game does not have depth, Z-buffer. And the reason is we're trying to save the potato mission. And it's also good because it forces me to learn OpenGL in a very nitpicky way, a very picky way. So I'm very picky about everything. It forces me to like, all right, this is culling, this is the quads, this is back face, the triangle order, all this. Even though some of that is wrong, it's still wrong. Here we see the little soldier as one of the sprites, and here's the other one. So let's change the picture of the second one. Like, it's gonna look like crap. Like I realized that yesterday. It was just like, oh my god, this looks so horrible. I don't care. I don't want to do this anymore. And it's like, yeah, like that give up feeling it means you're at the most, one of the more critical points of your adventure. Because I've had that when I was working on the Source CrimeWars game, and like I made it good. It's just that I didn't fix the bugs and recode it yet. So the way we switch sprites here is very manual, labored. And what I was trying to do in a different version was have it to work these UV offsets off of a string of just the names of the file. So it would be like really easy. You just plug in the name and it just gives it to you. I believe I started to do that. I don't know where I fell asleep on that, but yeah, there was a soldier, but I had to do the math in my head, like manually, like, oh, this is the UV coordinates. I know that this value represents 128 in pixels, 0.06247 It's just if you divide 1 by 128 or something, you get this. Or I don't remember how you get this number, but I know if you times it, let's see what it is. Calculator. Okay, invalid input, of course. You just need to drop the F. Times 128, we get almost 8. Or it's in segments of 8 because there was some floating point error there. There's reasons for that, but because like you want the sides to be a little bit cut, so you don't see the seam of the image. At least that's my excuse for the floating point being wrong. Alright, so this has the sprite loader image class, and the sprite loader image class has this change sprite method. I wonder what this is all about. This is probably a quick attempt. Oh, change sprite just changes the position. Oh wow. We never call this any kind of way. So we'll just globally search for .pgn in all the projects and find the magic code. Alright, back in version 10, we made all these sprites. We still use the index. Now this looks newer. It should be storing a map somewhere. Alright, version 6. when it added PGN sprite, it made a map of this. Yeah, it had this SDE map string sprite info sprite map. And sprite info contains a sprite tile map atlas, which is a class that doesn't exist in the other one. The tile map width, height. But what's associated about this is that string in that template is what was passed to add this PGN. And it gets put in here associated to this. So that's how it's associated this. So you could recall it later and you'd get the appropriate sprite info for, so it'd be a lot easier to, instead of this get sprite LLM is go generate me a sprite on somewhere on the web, but it's a different story. That's a curl call. Like, oh yeah, I need to implement curl. This will be the prototype. Okay, so it's kind of irrelevant, but it's here. It's kind of trying to metal spaghetti code everything. Sprite tile map atlas. So let's see if we even have this. Let's go to our current project and search for this. It doesn't exist it shouldn't exist, because I deprecated it on purpose because it was not working for other reasons. So it does have it. It has this. PGN sprite, yeah, so it has to call the operating system's function, because I believe the newer one does not use directory scan, because that requires different operating system code as per system. It's like different in Windows. Yeah, because in Windows you have to do directory list contents, which is different on Linux. In Linux you have to do directory list contents are different by redir. So the way Windows and Linux does this is like completely different code, and it has these like different types in the wide char, and this has string std. It's very annoying. This is like one of the more annoying first things you'll hit in cross-platform. The other one will be Asset Manager in Android. Now I don't know about Metal or Apple yet, but maybe I'll find that out soon enough. Alright, so add PGN sprite. This never adds it to our map, does it? What we haven't looked at is at the .h file. The .h file will just tell us. Here's the sprite info. There's a map. There is a map. And this is how we use the map. Like this. The game HUD has the code. But is it being used in the C++ file? It is. Here's the path. It sets the info that it's saved. All right, so let's try to use the map in order to achieve our goal. Okay. So the UV coordinates should be set like this. Let's go to the second button and just modify it, and if we get the same result, we're good. It's kind of a bad test, but whatever. When it says set UVs, We may have to divide or do some sort of integer bullshit. I mean, floating point. Set these to float. I don't know why we don't have access to G-Sprite Atlas Loader. It might be called something else. Probably Sprite Manager? Is that what it's called? Like, where's the tile manager? Yeah, it's called this. Pointer Global Sprite Tile Atlas. We may need to have some return function, like give me the coordinates for this and account for it being not in the everything textured. Being a tile thing and a tile thing. Alright, so that works. But what we need to specify now is the file name correctly. We do have this file name though, but it's not going to load it right because I don't think we even load this shit. We only load like 5 sprites. We need to load more, but whatever. So we may have to like redo the code. There's 2,500 lines in main. This is just a global mess. So we have 5 sprites we're only loading now. We need more buildings. So what we want is this barracks viewer PGN thing. I think we need the L. The L indicates it is a UTF-8 thinger. So are we allowed to just plug this in like this? We should. Compiler's not complaining yet. Now obviously I don't want assets inside root folder. That's just garbage collecting. Alright, and we have complaints here. The operands match mass type std string. This doesn't need to be an L. Yeah, it doesn't like the L. Because it's a type string. L is a different type. L is a wide char. Even though they could be the same looking thing in memory, the compiler knows. Like you. Okay, let's just remove the L. We'll remove the L. The L is more of a Windows thinger. We actually don't want it. Until I get to this point, and then it says we do want it. Oh, okay, so on Windows, we need the L for the initialization stage, unless we convert this fucker also to const char or const string, which would be better because then we don't have to have these 2 different ones. Let's see if it works. Let's see what would happen. We might have a wrong image or something, some other crap, but because it should convert the type later and kind of work for now. That's just fucking annoying. Yeah, it didn't get the right image. Exactly what I suspected. Crap. And we need to disable camera rotation before game starts. And disable loading game text. How do I do that? don't even know how I was removing objects, even if I have. And the other engine, it was a real pain to figure out that, oh, if you really want to remove objects, you have to just rebuild the entire tree. Don't just discard because you're leaving more trash in a renderer for no reason. Even though sometimes that's the more faster approach. And then just draw it whenever it comes back. Alright, so the coordinates are wrong. Sprite tile map atlas.h. So later we take this stupid object and we merge it. And I believe the math is something like just divided by 2. It's something very simple. And inside .h file we have the global context accessor, or the global pointer to it, and just like global pointer. Like, this is where all our sprites are, and it's just easier. Some people like to use a global object and they just link all the global objects together, because that way everything can be accessible. And since there's 64 memory address or 32 memory address, who cares? It'll just jump. That's more of assembly language jargon for everything's a pointer anyway. Okay. Yeah, so this thing gets passed into this image data merge class, and this image data merge class generates a texture that's bigger. And then it inserts the text into it too. There's this insert image thing, which is really nice because we wrote this code multiple times here and it just turned into blah bitty blah, which everybody hates. Everybody hates blah bitty blah. They're like, what do you mean blah bitty blah? No. Then you read the code and you're like, blah bitty blah, what the hell, why did they do this? This is garbage. How it works, we don't know how, but it does. What it does is it tries to have different alternatives for inserting like this, and then to do implement. So if you were to insert a font PGN, what would be the difference between inserting a sprite PGN? It looks exactly the same. Custom generated PGN also looks exactly the same. You just call insert image instead. That's what I mean. That's what blah bitty blah is. It's this just repetition for no reason. There is a reason, but it's planned. It's too ahead of its curve. So we do something special if it's this later on. And then maybe I realized don't need to just do this, and it's insert one channel is different than insert 4 channels or 3 channels. Because you're just every picture that's transparent with alpha, red, white, red, green, and blue has 4 channels, right? So you don't have to write to all 4. You could write to just 3. And you get a picture, and then you can just write your font layout onto the alpha, and you've used all 4, but you recycled that other channel, something else. All right, so I think we're going from 1024 to 2048, whatever. So just divide by 2. Let's just see what happens. And then we'll write a helper, a function, do the math for us. It's ridiculous, but whatever. This is how convenience is not something we get in the initial. Just divide, I guess, everything by 2. Is that the answer? Do we do it like this? Sure, the math is going to be super wrong here. I want to make a bunch of comments of all the things I've tried. Seems like a very simple thing to do here. Oh no, it's still wrong. Still rendering like who knows what. What are these values? It's just like, let's change this back. These values should be these values. Oh, I see what the problem here is. Let's actually use these values. We never even did this. So he said X is first and then Y is okay. We never passed it into the vertex array buffer of the shader, or we never put it into the class so it can pass it on to the GPU. This value right here, do we do this? Do we minus 1? We may, I had to switch the height. I had to do this negative height in order for it to show, which was incorrect. It worked, but alright, now we just get dark box. Okay. I was hoping all this was going to work first try, but whatever. I don't know why I'm messing with these like minuscule little details. I could have just relied on my other code, but later on it will sort of matter when we start switching these up. Nope, that's terrible. What if we not do minus y, I mean 1. I don't think that's going to help, but what we need to do is just print these side by side and just write a really long printx. Always the way to go. Just debug printf everything. Why? Because it just brute forces it to work. Usually something simple, but when you spend so much time trying to brute force code it right, and you're like, whatever. And some carriage returns. Plug these in here. And the reason we want like the second sprite right off the bat is because we could see if it's doing math right. care about visual because we know visual is wrong anyway. And then once visual is supposed to be right, we'll remove exit. Alright, this is what it says. 256. Oh wow. It's like very wrong. At least the ratio is right. The UVY is garbage. The UV1 is actually what UVY should be. Alright, so we need to switch those. So this is what we have to do. Let's take this. Copy, paste again. Divide this by 248 or something. Let's just guess. If it's not, it's 1,000 whatever. Switch these two. Seems to be the correct answer to do this. And also divide both of them. Everything is to be divided. It's all being normalized into the screen space for 2D. Alright, that looks correcter. It is close. It's too much on this value. It's too little on this value. It's too little on this value by 2. That sucks. Like, X is the one that's messing us up here. Why though? It's because of this, isn't it? Let's get rid of this. Then we have to go in and divide it by a different value. That's correct. It's almost the same. This is not the same, and this is not the same. So why the X? How come it's like this? Oh, because it increments every few times. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I have to go to the drawing board with this, really back to the drawing board, but I could patch it up really fast, but alright, that's way too big. That's correct. Almost. $1,096. Even though it shouldn't be that. They force this value to be almost right, but this is wrong. Alright, I know why. Let's put this back. Let's not divide by 2. That is just causing us grief. This is mathematically wrong. Because we're dividing by 2 twice here, because yeah. It has to be all the same divisor. 512 somehow needs to be end up. Let's times this. 512 times 0.6 whatever. Just easier. Actual value should be 0.625. $32. Hmm. 160 minus 512 should be 128. Yeah, so, okay. And get the offset. Maybe we're taking the wrong values. Okay, hold on. We also get this tile map with X and Y. Are we storing it right? Like, what the hell's happening here? Might not be storing it right. Create never used this. Info current X, current Y. This is what it's copying in. Keep it spread out, whatever. So it's in pixels and we have to convert it into normalized. Since it was 1024. Still though, we need to times it after that. Let's look at the map. I'll give a visual representation of why we are suffering this dilemma. Does it make an image of the map? Maybe it doesn't, but it does elsewhere. Should be inside here, at least the older one. Okay, this is the older image data. The map is not going to show the icon on targeting, but it's the second one anyway. Alright, so we're targeting over here. Is it flipped? Sometimes it is. It's flipped in memory, right? At least we got the characters right. Those are actually the hard ones. These are supposed to be super easy. You can do these manually. Could write just a function based on the math I already have that actually make it faster. And I didn't make this dynamic to where it's like if there's different sizes, it just like sorts them and saves it. That would be the harder way to do it. More packing. Yeah, so 128. But why are we getting these other values in there? Should be getting these values. We're getting these other ones. Like, why is it 512? Minus 512? If we minus 512, okay, it's 128. It should start at 128. Unless it's returning us the wrong crap. What it's returning is 512. It starts here. 650 is here. So it's returning us this quad, which is the last one. It is the last one. That's what we're targeting. So it is right. We're just comparing this wrong. Alright, so if the Y is correct, let's make the Y correct again. Then the X is correct. It's just, these are incorrect. Okay, now the Y is correct, and the X is correct. Is the difference 0.12? Yeah, the difference is 0.12. No, it's 0.6 because 0.25 plus 0.6 equals 0.31. So that's good. Was this subtracting 1? Yes, it was. Okay, let's try this then. No exiting. This will be set to this now. We'll capitalize these and just pass them like this. It should be just very straightforward math here. Like this divide by this and just divide by the atlas. What we should also do very quickly is print up the tile size. So if the tile size does change it, it's dynamic. We won't really need it. It's like statically doing it, it's like faster, but it's just interesting to do it that way because it is called dot tile width height, right? That thing. I believe it's a float. Is it a float? No, it's an int. This is an integer. We could use U, but I usually use I. I need to reread printf's thinger. And this will be set to. We'll do this math here before we compile because yeah, it's like the problem with doing it like this is that obviously it creates these really long lines with the file name inside of them, and it's like very inefficient. So I don't know. I've kind of been contemplating, but whatever. It makes designing the UI faster, and later it can be switched. Because generally you don't access it a lot. It's just the overhead. It generates the ELF code. And then the correct call would be this. Oh, we forgot to divide. This is the main part of the operation. Divide all these so it looks nice and neat like this. No minus one thing anymore. I believe we don't need that. Because it's already normalized for whatever reason. Alright, and we'll exit before we even hit that. We could print out all this and just make sure, but whatever. Alright, 24 by 24. Yeah, so it tells us that that's the width. So it'll reset after that. Okay. So let's like get rid of all this crap and just see if it visually looks right. There would be, we need another map. Okay, so it's there. We have our thing. For some reason this one's not flipped like the other one. I have no idea how that happens, but let's try to unflip it and just draw the next thing. Import a sprite. So what if we set height here? How does that one import like that and this one imports like this? That's so stupid. They're like the same orientation. Yeah, like look at that. It draws it up now. Cool. It mathematically is fighting us. And it's under the other one, that's why you can't see the top of it. And it's 15 height, so if we subtract y 15, we'll move it down, whatever. Maybe we need to subtract 1 to 10. Oh, it's ugly. Very, very ugly. Yeah, but when we do the math with this thing, it's different than when we do the math with that one. And this one should be the barracks, not the coal plant. What is the coal plant? Oh, it's just like a cylinder thing. Because we could make, we still have to import cylinders. The coal plant will be this thing. We can make it a power lightning thing. It's green. Okay. I know these buildings are so cool. RTS, low poly, they're just like the ultimate low poly dream. It's just a cylinder with 2 radiuses. They're gonna kill our MCD. It's like, okay, game over, you've been destroyed. I'm gonna keep killing you. It's always good in an RTS game when like you get to watch after, like what happens. Like certain games you don't. Art of War you don't. I mean, it's like, it sucks. I like seeing what happens after, like the chaos you've unleashed. You get to watch the other players get slaughtered for what you've done. And they're just pissed. Like you just see them typing like, I hate you. Like that was the point. It was the emotional distress you caused, not the fact that you lost. All right, I just tried to copy paste the PGM to Visual Studio. And my professionalism has degenerated into horrible, horrible actions on the computer. All right, so it's just important to this into a 512 by 512 thinger. And we'll just figure out what we're resizing from too. Alright, so we could start with 128 and 128 and then just go from there. There is a lot of content that I've tried to generate for this game, and there is like some workflows I have. But my main goal is just to simply make it so I can like sit there and click and make buildings, and there's a little bit of fighting, and then I can just kind of have a little bit of debug information for the netcode. And later work on the flashy graphics. Even though working on the flashy graphics actually really helps promote this, from what I've heard. Like it's all about flashy graphics, and it's just like nobody cares about the multiplayer. They just seem like immune to it. Until like they hear about a game with a bunch of players and they all want to play that one. Okay, so we'll call this Coplat underscore 128x 128x. We are kind of saving the assets into the project of C++, but yeah, things are getting disorganized. Alright, so main function. I don't like having this in main. We should have an asset loader manager class. Just call it something different, like because asset manager is what it's called in Android, so it would need to be called something else here. File loader thing. So I have to come up with a name for it and make a class and just sit there and tell it, okay, all these files, get them with a directory scanner or not, whatever. And then it could later be transformed into a zip file packer and all that fun stuff. WAD file or whatever. A lot of games like to use that. So they could have asset packs, and then those or VPKs, and those VPKs get loaded per mod basis, and then that's good for workshop also. But so it's not just a bunch of files in a directory, but that's how a lot of games get started, I guess. Just a bunch of files in an asset directory or some kind of images folder immediately. And you should just search for .pgn and just stop. Awesome face. Okay, it's not this. Alright, we'll add it here. Alright, since barracks will be the third one, we should just copy and paste the code from here. And we could maybe later need to define quad. Let's go to 2, rename this, and just see if it works. And we should display that. Just the main class. We should have a bunch of garbage loaded. Yeah, we do. It's not that bad though. I usually have it like 10 times worse. It's like nothing. Alright, and this is the problem here. We should be able to just pass one string. Just like the UI icon's name. Just what I'm copy pasting. And then it'll just give us an ID. And that would mean that we would have to rewrite the mapping class to an ID and a string. Or just get the ID to the string. Yeah, it's like, but whatever. Let's just see if this works. Let's see if our math is genuinely divine. Divide by 248, 2048. The max texture size from those crappy potato devices. Alright, we have the coal plant, but we're missing the barracks now. Where is it? It's under the coal plant. Of course you build a barracks under a coal plant. It's the basement. It's actually not a bad idea. An upgrade would be... Let's write that in. Upgrade coal plant barracks in basement. It's like the ultimate thing we can do later. We need classes though for the barracks. It probably will start as static, or just spaghetti code classes of the name of the thing it is, and then later we could virtualize the and polymorphism and abstract code the rest of it. Because it'd be nice to have the netcode to where like it doesn't even care what you're building. It just like sends you the objects as parameters, and just then you just see what's on the graphics side. That way you could always switch the assets. It's like thinking way too much for a small little engine like this, but it does define some. It's trying to be genuinely just a simple RTS without having to clone the general source code of 0 hour and like just work off that, or clone Lambda Wars, which I actually want to look at. I want to look at Lambda Wars versus generals versus OpenRA and something else. I forget what else. Yeah, like source engine, like client server model, like the one you compile by Android. So debugger works, but we don't really want to do debugger right here. We don't have any problems really. Alright, let's see. Did it? No, we forgot to do something. Y position 20? It should be 0, 9. So 20 minus 30 would be minus 10. And then plus 15 height would be 0.5. And like getting to do math in normalized coordinates is good. Alright, so the barracks showed up. Good, it shows. The math is a little blah, but it should be higher. So 0.05. And then we'll add the other sprite. What's the other sprite? The refinery or something? The factory. Yeah. What's a factory gonna look like? I do have a cool model of a factory. Let's see if we can go find it. I have it on the website, but there's like multiple things. I tried to rebuild what the AI built, but I'm a dumbass at Blender. I don't like always learning Blender. I have a bunch of Blenders installed, but it doesn't mean I shouldn't learn Blender 5, which I started today or something. This is the one I compiled. What are these? This was something really cool. Why is this not found? Damn it. Let's just load this. Oh. This is the OBJ exporter. I don't know. I forget what this was for. But it has, I have some really good ones where I'm that's an okay barracks. That's manually made, and it's like there is some problems with the scales for I think the stairs and the way they look, but this is an AI generated radar. It'd be nice to rebuild this by hand. And a lot of it just requires and there's a lot of these models that are kind of like this, where like a high-end performant computer can just take the AI ones and just use them right off the bat. It's industrial structures. But the problem is that you need to have bones because, or some sort of movement within them that says how blind. This is the piping demo. I forgot all about this. Yeah, so I like how it has these geometry node and domain mesh stuff. I just wonder how you open this. So you could evaluate stuff with these geometry nodes. I need to learn more about them. And I was thinking, oh yeah, just implement geometry nodes in the engine and it's gonna work. I mean, it'd be nice, but it's just a lot of stuff that you kind of don't need right off the bat. This is some cool cube. Just like practicing Blender skills and making a cool cube. Alright, let's go find the war factory. It should be categorized correctly here in buildings. That's cool how we have these. A lot of these can be used. MCV structure, MCV 0. War factory bar to war factory warehouse cube. What is this one? Oh, it's the cube warehouse. Okay. Actually, yeah. Which one is latest? There is multiple versions. Remodel, quick remodel, export, join. Yeah, I think I was trying to do the interior or something. It would just be cool, like if you had like an intro or videos, like when you would play the interior. Yeah, it's like way too much. It doesn't like this file. It's because there's a lot of polygons or something. It's like if you look at this, let's open statistics up. Oh, it is open. Yeah, this one's fine. It's like 14K edges, whatever. And it's got a texture. It looks like, but from far away, when you're gonna be like looking at it like this in game, it should be an LOD. Like, it's just like optimization just like hurts your brain when you think that this is 14K. It's either like the wrong format. Whatever, okay, so we need a factory. The factory, the way it looks like in here, we'll just, this is why these WebGL ones are so nice. They're just faster workflow. The factory just looks like two cubes. The hangar door and the thing itself. There needs to be like a tint color for the team, and then you need to have like, oh, that's a second mouse button will allow you to move the camera like this. This is actually a really nice camera setup, I'm not gonna lie. I need to set up my camera to work like this camera. So when you click middle mouse button, it'll be like mouse 1 here. I'm clicking mouse 1 to do this rotation. I'm clicking mouse 2 to do side scroll. And wheel to zoom in and out. This is actually a nice new. I kind of like the old red alert way, where like if you're over here, it'll side scroll. That would be good too. And then if you had the radar, you could quickly scroll. Alright, let's just take a picture of, wow, this is really hard work for remodel this. Yeah, and it goes through the ground too. It's actually cool because it has a basement. It would be cool to do like a little, like there's an underground layer, there's an under terrain, and then you could dig through it. In certain areas you can't, and it would be like rock, so you would need a different type of thingamajiggers, different bulldozer, tractor, catapult, excavator things. This is not a war factory, this is just a factory, because it can do more than war factory. You could like process coal. Yeah, a little bit different style here in terms of resources from StarCraft and Red Alert. There had to be, and it had to be basic. So the idea is that the factory, it would process the coal and the oil and some other resources, and it would build vehicles and kind of serve as like a power plant slash building slash unit producer. I don't know about the upkeep for the units, but it could be too. Yeah, like upkeep for tanks. You need more war factories, and if you want more tanks, I don't know. It could work differently. Like there could be different rule sets like this, and just play around with them. And just be an RTS of RTSs. But for now, with all that aside, just super basic, whatever. Draw a box, color it. Uh-oh, not fitting. If it doesn't fit, who cares? Yeah, it's good. It looks like a war factory. Or a factory. I keep getting that wrong. I keep saying war factory, because I like war factories. Okay. Did our factory ever load here? Like, what happened to Blender? It's just like, I was going to show this artistic of my skills. Okay, here we go. There's our beauty. Now, this thing kind of sucks. What's cool is the rooftop, but this little thing I made, ugly. Here's the real thing. So that's the ground. How is the sphere? Oh, it's because I merged it, so the name got messed up. This is the low poly. And this is what was AI generated. So you see how like the door frame actually looks like a legitimate Red Alert 3 type factory, but a little more Soviet garage. It's more Soviet garage than Red Alert 3 version. And this car just kind of got stuck going inside the hangar, and they used cloth hanger because the other one broke. And that's actually good realism right there. It's like, fuck it, who cares? That's the way you would actually make a war factory, and just say, you know, if we could shoot bullets through our hangar door, it's okay. We'll just build another tank and just stand behind it. This is what you have to do in an RTS game. Create good design, writing, scrap text for people to read and be like, this is absurd. Oh, that makes sense because I play RTS games. Like, I love playing StarCraft co-op. I can't believe I haven't installed it yet and just butchered time away on that. But I want to say more fun doing this, but it's like hard. It just feels stupid, like I'm like never gonna succeed. Oh well. Let's see how far I can get with this. I'm already really hungry. So we'll just finish up these 4 sprites, and then maybe part 2 of this will be actually placing these buildings. It's gonna be harder to make the MCV because it has like 4 geometric shapes. Even this little first demo that we have to replicate, we have a cylinder, 4 more cylinders, and 2 cubes, and a billboard, and a selection thing. Because if you look at demo 4 or 5, on this one, he's different. I like this one. I like how there's 4 cubes. There's actually more tires, which it'd be nice if we could actually get tank treads. He's supposed to actually have treads, but a lot of time the AI gives him tires. I've made the AI generate some good-looking, high-definition MCVs that look kind of like this truck. I think we need a cement mixture with a crane on it. Yeah, and then just do it like this. In this one, he doesn't have a deploy animation. He has an unpack, he doesn't have a deploy. That one has a deploy animation. In this one, though, you could do this. The guys don't shoot you, but you could run them over. And they turn it from capsules into smash, and then there's blood. You can actually see blood. Well, it's an illusion of blood. It's just like fading transparency circle. In this one, oh yeah, you're allowed to go reverse, so you get back into them. Get back into the soldiers. This is really important. Like, this is one of the key features that I need to make, and make it multiplayer. And just like the first time you play the game, you just start out and all these guys are shooting you. You just have this big vehicle, and you can't deploy because of some stupid. Deploy because of some stupid thing. Oh, some malfunction with the vehicle transformation system. So the buildings in this one, you have little circles over them. The other buildings that are square can have square thing over it. Halos. This is if I press shift. Mouse 3, shift, control, alt. Alright, time to go charge the camera. Alright, why does it take sometimes so long to build? Uh-oh. Made a completely bad accident. Okay, con sprite image. Needs to be defined or instantiated. We're just calling a null pointer here. I love how I keep doing this. I keep like I don't know, deja vuing this error. It's weird. My brain is like pre-processing in the future. It's a weird feeling. Okay, minus 35 or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to normalize these X and Y positions. This is part of the reason to do this. So you could like standardize the values later. Yes, so we have our work factory. So we have some sprites on the screen, a sort of working menu that needs more tweaking from the position of the mouse. Just a lot of chaos going on. A lot of debuggingness getting in the way. And then we could start like hitting stuff, building it. Obviously ray traces being drawn over the UI, which is good. I think I need to make mouse scrolls zoom in and out. There is a button for zoom in and out if you get control. It's spacing control is up and down. ASD, QE, C, X, Y. We can switch the shader too.